stressed, overwhelmed, mismatch. And while we are doing that, for those of you who joined us just now, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are on menti.com. Our code is 82373144, or there is a direct link in the chat, which will take you to this page. We're talking about an emotion that would describe how you feel when you're managing your mentoring program. And now Julie has this task of changing these emotions, maybe make it a little less strong than stressed and overwhelmed at the end of this. And I think I have a fun way of finding out if that happened. Remind me in the end. Awesome. All right. So you guys can keep, responding to this. We will move on in the interest of time. I'm going to disconnect it. Yes. All. I think, Julie, you might have heard these many a times. Anything surprising that you're seeing here?
No, but later on, it would be interesting to understand more about the mismatch. Is it mismatch between people or the organization and their understanding of mentoring? Mismatch. Yeah. What does it mean? Interesting.
Yes, absolutely. All right. So let's move on. And it's a bunch of questions. So let's just, keep moving on. The next one is really to know just about Pollinate Impact. Currently, our focus is, our geographic focus is really South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So we just want to know, where you're joining us from. So just type in a country and let me know if you are not able to see it. All right, there you go. So just a country, it's easy. Maybe I moved one too quickly. All right, we're back to country. Whoops. Ghana, Kenya, Zambia. I think I know it's Simonza from Zambia. Hi, Simonza.
Hi, Shami.
Congo. Awesome. Kenya's getting bigger. All right. Please, again, keep responding. Keep responding, and we're just going to move on because we want to know more about you. And then this is quickly, just to know who's in the room. Is it, mainly incubators and accelerators, or are there other folks also in the room? So this is just a quick, what best describes your organization. Yep. All right. Wonderful. Okay. Great. Thank you for responding. Okay, now the next couple of questions, again, related to the topic at hand, right? And, just to give Julie an idea of, who's in the room, maybe is there something that we need to focus on throughout today's session? So just indulge with us for a couple more questions. Yes, we have a mentoring program. Okay, awesome. Okay, all right. Great, loud and clear. We have a mentoring program. Okay, great. So, so then just, since we already have a mentoring program, maybe we can talk about what are some of your top challenges that you're facing in running your mentoring program, because it's, okay. Yes, I think that's something that we hear a lot. finding the mentors. Mm-hmm. Where do you source them from? Yeah. All right. And so while you're responding to this, maybe I'll get into today's session, right? Running effective mentoring programs. It gives you an insight into, how you can run your mentoring program based on the needs of, your own organization and your entrepreneurs' needs, and how you can save time and, the hassle of managing the program, make it less of a hassle and make it more of the reason, or the driving force behind achieving greater impact from your programming. And joining us today is our expert on this, Julie. She is the project and development manager at the Human Edge, previously known as Mowgli Mentoring, as many of you might already know them as. And, so I welcome, Julie to this session and, guide us through this, clearly very, very relevant, very important topic for our incubators and accelerators. Please give us an introduction about yourself, about the Human Edge, and then take us into the session, please.
All right. No, thank you so much for the invite. And very interesting to see the challenges on the screen. So we'll definitely discuss some of them here. So basically, yes, I work for the Human Edge, previously Mowgli Mentoring. So we are really a mentoring organization, which means we run mentoring programs for others. We help also others set up their own mentoring programs, and we train also mentors. We source, train, and match people as well. So we have a full array of different activities around mentoring. So I'm French. I can't hide with my beautiful accent. So yeah, I'm French, but I'm based in Kenya now. I've been in Kenya for 5 years. And I came to Kenya to run several mentoring programs for entrepreneurs, also for community-based trainers in entrepreneurship. I did a few corporate programs as well in Kenya, and then a lot around NGO leaders as well. And interestingly, things around intergenerational mentoring as well. So this is globally. So also a new topic coming in is how do you integrate generations in organization. So you will see mentoring can really be applied for many different reasons. So I will encourage you to think about what's the reason you want to implement mentoring, because it can really be applied everywhere. So that's me in a nutshell, and the Human Edge. So previously Mowgli Mentoring, and we just changed to the Human Edge. Voila. Let's start. Should I put my, I'm going to share my screen. And of course, during the session, don't hesitate to post on the chat. And if you have any questions, post on the chat. I might ask you several times to chip in, to tell me things, share your own experience in mentoring. That would be interesting. So I really adapt my flow, what I'm the content to your needs. So please don't hesitate to really interact with me or with the chat. So here we go. So welcome to Running Effective Mentoring Programs. Well, this is what I said. Well, you will have the slides. We will send you the slides, so you will have all of this, with you. So first question is really, why include mentoring in your programs? So in the Mentee Mentor, you said you were all, having mentoring programs in place. So why use mentoring in the first place? Yeah, anything you want to share? Or we're a small group, you can also unmute if you want, but you can put some words in the chat as well if you prefer. Alors, someone said entrepreneurs can benefit from advice from more experienced people, right? And we will talk more around that advice. Yeah, anything else? So it's around experience sharing, I guess. Anything else? The other day, someone told me, because it's a must-have these days for incubators and accelerators. We use mentoring for customized support. Yeah, definitely. It's a great way to customize the support because it's really tailored, and a mentor is here to tailor his or her support to an entrepreneur. Guide someone throughout a journey. Yeah, beautiful. Exactly. That's what mentors are here to do. Great. Wisdom, guidance. Yes. And I guess there's a when you say guidance throughout a journey or guidance, it's also the fact of not being really alone, in your entrepreneurial journey. So it's a great way not to feel alone. Connect, then the connection, share knowledge, the experience, networking. Yeah, definitely. Great. So I'll share and say, you see, in your hubs and incubators, you're here to really give out explicit knowledge in general. You give out manuals, you do training courses on entrepreneurship. You explain to people how to do a business plan, how to think about their marketing, etc., etc. Of course, that's not all you do, but mainly hubs and incubators, we are really around formal training courses where people can get knowledge on how to do things. They get guides, they can have documents, videos, etc. So then that's really the explicit knowledge. And then we go into what tacit knowledge. So that's below the iceberg, what's happening there. So mentoring is really linked to the, sorry, I'm going to go back to explicit knowledge. So that's, formal education, training, and traditionally books, etc. And the tacit knowledge is really what is rooted in the context, the experience of the entrepreneur, their values, etc. And it's harder to communicate and to get. It's more around a relationship between two people that you will get that explicit, that tacit knowledge. Sorry. So in research, it is said that it's quite, that tacit knowledge is quite a competitive advantage, for innovation, and how is that passed by is really around people socializing, networking, etc., and of course mentoring. So that's what a mentor does when he or she is with a mentee, is to pass on tacit knowledge, that experience, that intuition, those ideas, etc. Just checking the chat if there's anything else. Any questions so far? So, too far. So mentoring. So basically, generally, we advocate for mentoring in hubs, incubators. It's really to simply put business skills into practice. So to really have a meaningful adoption. You want people to, you train people on something, and you want to make sure they will implement it, for example. That's often why we have mentoring program in place. Embed learning. so formally and informally as well. Also, we sometimes want mentoring in place to build some kind of accountability and responsibility in our participants, to check in what they are doing, how they are developing. And if you have investment, at the end, it's really to have that, to reduce that investment risk, or to make your participant maybe more, interesting for potential investors, because people know they've been followed by a mentor, so maybe that's reassuring. Of course, it's also a way to get, to get a new network, thanks to a mentor. But sometimes, mentoring program can also be cohort-based, so you don't have necessarily access to only one mentor. You can also have access to different mentors in the program, share your experience with other mentees or with other entrepreneurs. So you have that network building that is quite important. And also, it's really important to build local mentoring capacity, to strengthen our entrepreneurship ecosystem. And I saw in your challenges a lot of things around mentors. And that's also sometimes why we lack mentors, is that we don't really build the capacities of mentors locally. So that's a bit my call for action as well, for ecosystem builders, is really that we need to develop local pool of mentors, and we will understand why is that's important. So how can mentoring be the amplifier of your work? So we're going to see this in a second. But before all of that, often mentoring can be challenging because people don't really understand what it is really about. So, mentors, mentees, the entrepreneurs themselves might have wrong expectations on what mentoring is really about. And also sometimes us, incubators, accelerators, how do we define mentoring? So I would be interested to know what's your definition of mentoring. So post it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself if you want. Anything? No? So in that case, I'll go directly to the answer, but I'll ask you questions again. So yes, so basically, mentoring is a long-term trust-based relationship. And this is something we often forget, is that mentoring is above all a relationship between two people. So how do you nurture that relationship? That's one of the key things that you need to think when you're going to implement a program. So it's a relationship. You're dealing with people. Then it's really focused on the empowerment of the mentee. And by empowerment, what do we mean by that? We mean that it should be focused on what the mentee really wants to achieve. So that's why I'm a bit cautious with the word advice that I saw. So guidance, etc. Yes, but advice, I would be a bit careful, because what happens when a mentor gives a bad advice to a mentee, for example? So mentor will be blamed, and the mentee will say, all the things that are happening to me are because of you. You gave me those advice, etc. So be careful. And on the contrary, if the mentor gives great, amazing advice, what can happen? Dependency. Every time the mentee is going to take a big decision, for example, they will need to rely on the mentor and ask for advice, for example. So empowerment is really the fact that the mentee has to think about his own solution. So that's why mentoring is a space for reflection, goal setting, experience sharing. So the mentor can offer experience, but in any case should impose a solution, a view, etc., what you should do, etc. It's really up to the mentee to decide what's best for him, his business. And often mentoring is holistic. I know in incubators and accelerators, we really focus on, of course, the entrepreneurship, the professional part. But when you're an entrepreneur, it's sometimes difficult to differentiate, who's the entrepreneur, who's the person behind the entrepreneur. Things are interlinked, especially when you're dealing, for example, with management, leadership, confidence, things like that. There's topics that will definitely be professional and personal as well. So that's why also mentees and mentors have to be prepared to also discuss things that could be also personal. Also, generally, it's purely voluntary. So that's the true essence of mentoring. It's that it's not it's voluntary. That's what we do generally in our programs, etc. But it's true that in some incubators, accelerators, you might have mentors that are paid by, your organization. So that's also possible. But normally, the true essence of mentoring, we rely on volunteers, people who are willing to share their own experience, give back, basically. And that's why they are giving back, is also because there is a two-value flow in mentoring, where, yes, the mentee benefits, but the mentor as well. It's also a learning opportunity for the mentor. And looking back at the challenges that you mentioned in the beginning, that's also why a mentor would continue to engage, is because he is still interested, and he's also learning along the way. So that's also important that you also give those opportunities to your mentors. So I gave you a definition here of what we call developmental mentoring. So mentoring to really develop the potential of people. It's to support and encourage people to manage their own learning in order to maximize their potential, develop skills, their performance, and become the person they want to be. So that's really the aim of mentoring, help someone become the person they want to be. So don't hesitate to put questions or to comment on the chat while I'm going along. So I don't know if you're familiar with this equation, but it has been written by Tim Gallwey, who wrote the book The Inner Game, and this book is really one of the foundations of coaching. So Tim Gallwey was a tennis coach, so he was dealing with sports men and women, and he really noticed that actually there's a lot of things that were not, physical. You could train and train and train, but there were loads of things that were happening in people's minds, those interferences. So he developed a method to really take out all those interferences, self-doubt, etc. And so we adapted that equation with potential minus interference plus mentoring equals success. But really, this is really the basis of coaching, to look at the interference. So what kind of interference are we talking about? Any example? Do you have current, common interferences that entrepreneurs might have? So you can put in the chat if you wish. So, for example, one that is very common is confidence. A lot of people might think, oh yeah, it's not going to work. Yeah, confidence, financial issues. I guess linked to financial issues could be the fear of failure. We also see a lot in entrepreneurs, fear of failure, imposter syndrome. Yeah, someone said that, great. Lack of access to network, true. but we will see that. We will see why. Is it really something that mentoring should open or not? Are you opening doors or not to your mentees? I'll come back to that. So, yeah, I mean, the loneliness, you know, when you're an entrepreneur at the top, sometimes you're lonely, and, you know, your family has been telling you, why entrepreneur did good studies, you should look for a great job, etc. So, you know, all this internal dialogue, you know, that can happen. So basically mentoring is here really to support. The mentor is here to encourage support. Burnout, yeah. And in terms of burnout, something interesting in terms of mentoring, we've seen a lot of mentors actually, you know, deal with their mentees around work-life balance. And mentoring has helped a lot of entrepreneurs understand that they need to find the right balance for them, for example. So yeah. So definitely mentoring is here to help on that. But of course, mentoring is not, you know, counseling, is not, you know, it's not training, it's not coaching, it's not consultancy. So basically, I'm going to send you the slide. So I don't want to spend too much time on that. You will have access to that table. But basically, in training, a trainer is here to give you content. So it's very one way, short term. And really, it's around the what question. You know, what? Consultant is it's a bit the same. The consultant is here to give you solutions, tell you, you know, things that you need to do in a very short term, and you pay your consultant. So it's really around how you're going to do things. So coaching. So it's really around how to be, also how to do, but it's quite similar to mentoring in the sense that people are here to really understand, you know, how they need to figure things out themselves. So it's really around finding their own solutions. So it's really around listening, you know, questioning, etc. But coaching, you know, you will pay a coach. You will pay a professional coach. A coach is an accredited, you know, person with a, you know, a degree in coaching. So you have to, you will pay, and it's quite short term generally, because we don't want to pay a coach for years and years. So counseling is really looking at the past compared to coaching and mentoring. Coaching and mentoring is really looking forward. What do we want to achieve in the future? Counseling, we are looking back. What is holding me back from the past, etc. So of course, a mentor is not here to do that. And a coach as well. So mentoring, yeah, it's really empowering someone through questioning, etc. And it's long term because it's voluntary. You know, you can have a mentor for 5 years, 10 years, you know, but it can also be in your program. You know, it could be a mentoring program for a few months, but then if you're relying on volunteer mentors, if they get along great, their relationship could continue after the program. So these are the main differences. And I get often the question about what's the difference between coaching and mentoring. So for me, coaching has to be done by a professional coach. So normally you are accredited when you're a coach, you're paid. And in mentoring, you don't have to be professional. I mean, there's no stamp saying, you know, you're a great mentor. So anyone can be a mentor. And we will see that could be also a problem. So that's why we need to look at mentors who are really, you know, able to be mentors. But yes, anyone can be a mentor. It's quite informal. And it could be long term. So really, these are the main differences between coaching and mentoring. So basically, mentoring is always listening with empathy, sharing experience, learnings from your own experience. It's really developing someone insights, you know, through reflection. A mentor is a sounding board. It's a kind of professional friendship, and mentoring is challenging. because a mentor is here to challenge you also on your thinking, how you're doing things. So, how do you deal with change? Mentoring sometimes uses coaching tools, behaviors. I mean, that's what a lot of mentor training are about. It's really to get those coaching skills that you will use in mentoring. It's providing help, support, and opening doors and networks. But sometimes, and I've put sometimes because it depends, I mean, sometimes if for example, you're with a mentee who's not committed, engaged, etc., do you want to open your doors, your networks to this kind of mentee? So it's not an obligation. It's really up to you as a mentor to do it. But mentoring is never around discipline, performance management, if it's within an organization or it's an assessment for a third party or supervision. Let's remember it's a relationship between two people. So basically, to sum up, mentoring is a long-term trusted-based relationship which provides space for reciprocal learning and focus on the empowerment of the team. So reflection, goal setting, experience sharing. So that's really what mentoring is about. So I like that. I like this little summary. Mentoring is a brain to pick, a ear to listen, and a push in the right direction. I quite like it. Any comments or questions before we move to the next session? We will also have time for Q&A at the end, but if you have questions, don't hesitate to put it in the chat. No? So I'm moving on. So why mentoring programs generally fail? So first of all, mentoring is it's a project management in itself with different phases. And generally, when we set up mentoring program, we tend to overlook some stages. So the first one that is actually, in a way, paradoxically overlooked is the program design. And in the program design, you really have to think about what's your objective? What do you want to achieve thanks to mentoring? What will success look like? And be very specific, because the more specific you will be, then it will be easier to recruit the right mentors, have the right mentees as well, but also what kind of design you're going to take, because mentoring programs can come in many different shapes and forms. Could be one-to-one mentoring, one-to-many, one or group mentoring, reverse mentoring, co-mentoring, peer mentoring. I mean, there's many different ways of doing mentoring. Generally, yes, we in incubators, we want someone experienced in business supporting someone less experienced in business, but it could be also different. I mean, you could have different ways of doing it. So something interesting also, is it cohort-based, not cohort-based? What's the scale of your program? Because of course, depending on your context, the resources that you have, you might not be able to offer exactly the same to your participants. I see there's something in the chat. How do you overcome interference in mentoring? Okay, I'll park that for later. So then, participant recruitment. So do you set up clear criteria for your mentors and mentees? Do you tell also what are your criteria? Because I've seen a lot of call for mentors. We want mentors, but then it's not really specify exactly what you're looking for. So for example, as a mentor, I wouldn't feel concerned or like, oh, might not be relevant for me if it's not really explained what kind of person I'm looking at. And also, when you recruit participants, mention your expectations, in terms of a commitment, but also what's the philosophy of your program? Because a lot of mentors, at the end of the day, they want to mentor to give back. So what are they giving back to? What's the impact they're going to make? So that's really important. It's kind. The recruitment part is a real communication campaign. Then mentee preparation, mentor training. Have you thought of that? According to research, when you prepare only your mentees, 3 out of 10 relationships will work. If you train only your mentors, 6 out of 10 relationships will succeed. If you prepare and train your mentees and your mentors, 9 relationship out of 10 will continue. So that's quite interesting to note. So this has been research done by David Clutterberg. So he's a bit the guru in terms of mentoring. So if you Google David Clutterberg, you will see he's wrote a lot of books, etc. So he's really one of the key person to follow in terms of mentoring. So, if you want to avoid misalignments, people having the wrong expectations in the program. Also, sometimes mentees don't know really how to make the most out of a mentor, for example. So you have to help them, you have to guide them. And then the mentors, really, it's around the key skills. What are they here to do? So their key role. But what are they here to do? Is it to give advice or to empower someone, for example? What is relevant to share with a mentee? Because, for example, I've had the case of a mentor in building restaurant businesses, and he was matched with a mentee who his dream was to build a restaurant, and the mentor just had to close a restaurant, and he was like, "Oh no, the restaurant business that's really too difficult. I wouldn't go there. Let's drop it's not a good idea." But then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to refrain my judgment. I don't want to project my own life, own failures, own experience on the mentee. I'm here to support." So really think about what kind of, so you have key behaviors that we will see later, but you have key behaviors that you need to get in some mentee. Then matching. So we said mismatch at the beginning. So how do you match people? On what basis? So that's really key to understand the different options that you have for matching. And then once you match people, are you offering any support along the way? Because a lot of programs, okay, we match people, off you go, and then you don't really follow up on them. You don't monitor really what's happening, or you monitor too late to be able to troubleshoot. And then it's nice to bring back people to discuss their challenges as mentees, as mentors, and also support them with some, I don't know, for example, mentors, new tools, new things they could test with mentees, they could try on, etc. And of course, after is the whole, reporting of the program, impact, etc. that you have to analyze. So mentoring is kind of is a machine, but you don't have to be overwhelmed, because it's really mainly about being organized. What's the key success of a mentoring program? I guess you need someone to be in charge. Honestly, you have to have someone who's there to monitor the program, be able to be the point of contact to participants, support participants along the way. So it's really important that people and the organization have someone really in charge of the program. Be clear on the objectives. As I said before, objectives, it's really key to understand what you want to achieve, because I've seen a lot of incubators, accelerators wanted to put too much. Mentoring is going to solve 10 problems. Maybe not realistic, you see. So we have to think about exactly what you want to achieve, thanks to mentoring program succeed because they have mentees who are oriented, selected, supported throughout the program. And selected is important because mentoring is not for everyone. You want people who are open to change. open to challenge as well, because a mentor might not tell you what exactly you want to hear. So you need people who are ready to learn. If you don't have that people on board, it's going to be difficult for mentoring to really give results, and for the mentor to work with someone who's very close. So you have to have people who are open, to share with a mentor, but also open to change and challenge. Same for the mentors. You need to prepare them. They need to understand what's their role. They need to understand the skills, tools they can use within mentoring. What's really the remit of mentoring, the boundaries as well around mentoring. Key, very, very key. And also you need to think about, of course, mentors who have relevant experience, but sometimes with hubs and incubators, we tend to we want to recruit experts, but actually expertise is not really what matters. It's more the relevance between people. You don't need someone necessarily who is exactly in the same field, the same sector. Business experience can be relevant across the board. And sometimes, we dream, the Bill Gates, the Winfrey Oprah, or we have big dreams, but often the best mentor is the person at the corner of the street that can really give the best guidance to someone. So really think about the relevance between people. What would be really helpful for your mentees? Do you need to have the big shots in your program? Not necessarily, but maybe someone who has a similar background, similar experience to your mentees. Of course, that depends on your program. For example, and I would say a local mentor, because it's great. I can mentor someone in Zambia, but I have no idea of how business is done in Zambia. So sometimes it's sexy for incubators to say, yeah, we have mentors from the US, but then honestly, doing business in the US or in Zambia is totally different. So unless it's very relevant, for example, your entrepreneurs want to penetrate, I don't know, the German market, and they get a German mentor, why not? But honestly, generally, it's good to use local mentors with relevant and similar experience that you see. And yeah, you have to think, if your mentors are volunteers, don't give them too much to do. I've seen incubators saying, yeah, it's great, I have a mentor, so he's following 5 of our businesses. 5. So it becomes almost a real job. So if it's paid job, that's different. But if you're looking at volunteers, be careful on the workload you give to your mentors. Don't ask them too much. And also on the reporting front, don't ask them every time you have a session to write a 10-page report on what happened during the session. So that generally doesn't work. So generally, it's great to give a structure, but really let genuine relationship thrive within the structure you're offering. But yeah, be careful, and also incentivize your mentor. What kind of incentive you can give them? That's important to think about, and to communicate, and to show gratitude to your volunteer mentors. How do you show gratitude? How do the mentee shows gratitude as well to the mentor? I think that's quite important, and we often forget that. So matching, yes, it's an art and a science, and I don't have time now to exactly go delve into that, but there are different ways of matching. You can match based on skills, experience, raw data, but also on the human. Don't forget it's a relationship. So how do you bring the human touch in matching? How do you bring values? How do you bring chemistry? At the end of the day, if people don't like each other, they won't continue their mentoring relationship. So it's important that people actually like each other in mentoring. It's as simple as that sometimes. So yeah, how do you build trust? Because at the end of the day, again, it's a relationship. So you need to spend time to get, they need to spend time to get to know each other, have a mentoring agreement in place. That's super important. If you have a good mentoring agreement in place, you will troubleshoot 90% of your issues between people, because you clearly specify, the boundaries and the ground rules of your relationship together. And it's the mentor and the mentee that does it, not you as an organization, but the mentee and the mentors talking about, how they want to work together, what's important to them, what values are important for them when they work together. What do we do if this happens, etc. So have that in place. So yeah, so that's basically really what experience have told us around the success of a mentoring program. If you want to keep only, 5 best practice is really leadership, clear leadership support for your participants. Then clear objectives, really clear objectives. Select the right participants, and I already mentioned about the relevant experience, but also skills and key attributes. I'm going to talk about that. Prepare. So the stats I gave you, if you prepare your mentors and mentees, 9 out of 10 relationship will continue during your program, according to research. And then relationship, don't forget, it's a relationship between people. So you have to build that relationship. So, any questions before I move on? So while we are looking at questions. So this is really an example of your ideal mentor. Is someone who's a good listener. A mentor shouldn't talk and talk and talk into a session. So, a mentee should do 80% of the talking and the mentor 20, for example. So really, mentor is here to listen to the mentee. Give constructive feedback. Has the ability to, give perspective, but not direct advice. Be careful on, be judgmental also with your mentee. Use the art of powerful questioning. Be emotionally intelligent. Be here to encourage, motivate. So you need mentors who are self-aware. So sometimes there are generally things that, like empathy or genuine interest in people. This you can't. You need mentors who have those key attributes, and then you can refine a few things thanks to training. For example, how to give feedback, how to use those powerful questions, etc. So these are things you can do in trainings, but you need people from the start who are, people who with empathy, interested in other people, supporting other people, who want to give back, and also who are available. Because we tend, if we want the big shots in our programs, they might not be available for our mentees. So be careful with the availability and of mentors. Well, let me check the chat. I see that. What are some tools to open up? So these are the things we do in our training, is to show you how to. But I mean, there's something we use called the Wheel of Life, for example. That's a tool, a coaching tool that you can use to open up. But honestly, it could be as simple as, before jumping into, okay, this is my business plan, can you give me feedback on my business plan, is to take the time, in your first mentoring sessions, to really take the time to get to know each other. What's your background? What's important? What's your values? What you wanted to set up this business in the first place, etc., etc. Really talk about your life, who you are. So take the time to. How to work on emotional intelligence. So again, it's kind of linked to coaching techniques, but also to think about how you understand. You have to understand yourself as a person before being able to really understand other people. So emotional intelligence, yes, you can work on it, but yeah, I mean, you have to not to be trained, but to work on your self-awareness really first, I would say. So yeah, so mentoring works, and I've seen impact of mentoring, but you need definitely the right conditions to implement it. And mentoring is not suitable for everything. So there are sometimes some instances where training, coaching, technical assistant is more appropriate than mentoring. So yes, mentoring is great, it works, but it might not be possible to address every problem. And it's the same. It can't be, be successful on everyone. Some people will be more or less open to mentoring. So this is, and that's what we call mentorability. You can also research that. There are good resources out there on mentorability, what it means, but it's really important, because if you have people who don't believe that change is possible, for example, or that they can't change anything in their lives, then it's going to be a bit tough to mentor those kind of mentees. Any questions so far? Because I think we are at the Q&A part. Oh yes, it's the Q&A. So I'm here to listen to you. Any comments?
Julie, I'm wondering if you can maybe go back to the overcoming interferences question that was asked before,
Yeah.
while people are typing in their questions.
What was the question again?
So it said how to overcome interferences in mentoring. And Faustina, we welcome you to maybe, even unmute and, give a little bit more context on this so that Julie can respond.
So basically, interferences is really when you work with people who have really strong interferences, it's really about using coaching techniques, but coaching techniques that are as simple as open-ended questions, to make people really reflect, and also the giving feedback. For example, I've been in instances where I say, oh, can I mention something? I've noticed now that we had several sessions, and I noticed you're always comparing yourself with others. How does that land with you? And person is like, oh, yeah, you're right. So so that's how you work with interference, is really around those questions, but also maybe feedback on things you might observe. Alors, how can one keep a voluntary mentor for a long term? Well, if they love each other, they will continue mentoring. We have, in some of our programs, we have people who've been mentoring for 5 years. But that's, well, because it was a great match. They got along well, and they continue. But there's no obligation. In our program, we say, okay, it's a 1-year program, for example, right? But then they're free to do what they want after the program. So we say, it's your decision, but they need to have a conversation at the end of the program on how they want to end the program. That's really important that you do that, and you encourage your participants to do that, because it's like in any relationship, people need closure. So is it the end of our mentoring? Fine, I've got everything I need. Great, you helped me. Perfect. Now we can move on to something else. A professional friendship. We can, anyway, or we can continue mentoring. And maybe at a different pace. Maybe we were seeing each other every 3 weeks, and now that the program is over, we will decide that we will see each other once every 2 months. So, but encourage people to have that discussion. That's the more people are open and honest about their relationship, the more they would it could continue long term. So having a look at the question.
I was very intrigued. Oh, you're going through I can type it as well. Otherwise, I was going to ask a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
So I was very intrigued by the sort of the fine line between mentoring and coaching. And I was wondering if you're looking at the more long-term relationships, do you see that flip back and forth between mentoring and coaching, or would you actually say, no, we have to, make that explicit that now we're in a different kind of relationship? Or would you even have an organization that say, no, look, actually, if you want mentoring, then, go with somebody else, maybe within my own organization, but I don't want to flip back and forth.
Yes, but thank you. I hope I understood your question well, because the sound was a bit difficult. But difference between coaching, mentoring, but also how do you move on between coaching and mentoring?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a good question, because I don't, like, as a professional coach, in a way I have to stay professional. So and clients are supposed to pay you for your coaching sessions. So can it evolve into mentoring? It could, but yes, I think you have to be very clear that, okay, now I'm willing to help you on a voluntary basis. But it's true, I'm not too sure if that works. Because but it's possible. It's possible. Or maybe in your hubs, incubators, people are paid by your hub incubator to be, a business coach or a business advisor, and then it can evolve into mentoring. Why not? But it has to be very clear, and people have to be, very explicit on the different hats they are wearing when they are doing their, coaching, mentoring, business advisory, etc. But sometimes in mentoring, relationship evolve. Sometimes you can become super friends, but those friendship can come, can interfere in the mentoring. And also, people decide to become business partners, etc., which is great. But then the agenda of people is changing, so you have to be explicit about that as well. So I don't know if it answers the question, but if not, please unmute yourself and let me know.
No, that's great. And I actually like it's interesting when you mention friendship, because that seems to be another level yet, which, I mean, in coaching, I think there's a big difference, I feel, between being friendly and then actually, as you say, becoming friends, and then that becomes a much different relationship.
Yes, because generally one of the big difference between coaching and mentoring is, as a coach, you don't talk about yourself, your own experience, your own failures, etc. As a coach, you're professional and you really focus on the mentee. As a mentor, yes, you're relevant. You're not necessarily here to tell about all your life story, but some failures, etc., experiences that you have, you would share this with the mentee. So that's one of the main difference between coaching and mentoring, is that in mentoring you give a bit more of yourself in the relationship than coaching that sticks to professional. How to manage a difficult mentee? Jules, what would you say to that? So in a mentoring way, I will give back the question to you. How would you do that? Oh. So I guess, Jules, you could start by giving feedback, constructive feedback. Oh, it's interesting. I notice you're always canceling our sessions. What's that about? Can you tell me more? Try not to be judgmental, but try to understand someone. Feedback, etc. Again, openness in the in the relationship. And as a mentor, you have to role model all of this so that the mentee feels, okay, I'm able to, I can, as a mentor, for example, if you show vulnerability, then your mentee will understand that he or she has to be vulnerable as well, and open, etc. So there's an element of role modeling as well in mentoring that is quite key. So when you're sharing your own failures, something you did wrong in your business, then it helps the mentee open up and tell, yeah, I also made a mistake, etc. So you see, you show we are humans and we're here to share at the same level. So, and then at the end of the day, if your mentee is really not cooperating, not engaged, etc., sometimes you have to drop, they have to drop the program. And this is actually things we do in our courses. Sometimes we give scenarios and see how we would troubleshoot in those scenarios. Incentives. So incentives for mentors, really, again, around the project, the impact they're going to make. You're going to help social entrepreneurs, in your locality, community. Try to think about what could be interesting for your mentor, understand more about the sector, help young people understand more about how the new generation, sees the world. And then incentives in terms of gratitude, they can be also invited for speaking slots. You could put them on your website as well to showcase that, they are doing things. There are many different incentives, of course, depending on what the type of mentoring program you are dealing with. But I guess one of the big incentive that works really at the human edge when we do program is really that they get training, and in a way they get a kind of free leadership training thanks to the program, and the skills they're getting within the mentoring training will be helpful in their own management, for example, outside of mentoring. So honestly, they're going to get skills that are transferable elsewhere. So thanks to mentoring skill, I can maybe be a better manager. Like I would listen to my team in a different way, for example. So yeah. So big incentive is the training you're giving them, and then the ongoing support you're giving them, like, build up, oh, I'm going to give you this resource at this point, another tool, another resource, so people feel, oh, they are gaining from the program. Yeah, so that's it for the question. Thank you, Annie and Jules, for your comments. No worries about the microphone. Any other questions or comments?
So Julie, maybe while people are thinking about more questions, I was wondering, as an incubator, majority of our participants are incubators and accelerators. So as an incubator, how deep should you be in this? How removed should you be in this, and how do you measure if you're one step outside? Then how do you measure how effective your mentoring program is? What are some measures that we could we could kind of keep an eye on to assess whether this is working or not? Are there any best practices around that?
So really, mentoring is trying to find the balance between, you're offering a structure to your participants. So in a way, it's a formal program, but really keep relationship genuine and thrive. So for example, incubators that sometimes it's great to give a guide to your mentor, but sometimes it's session 1, talk about this, session 2, talk about this, session 3, This doesn't really work in mentoring, because mentoring, you're here to offer a tailored support to your mentee. So for as a mentor, it's great to have key reminders, okay, things I could talk about or things I could explore, but keep it flexible. It's really what's happening in the relationship that is important, and really what matters for the mentee. That should drive really the agenda. Is really the mentee should drive the agenda, because at the end of the day, we are here to serve the mentee. So I would say, you as a incubator accelerator, you can come, you can suggest things, but for example, in some programs where you, okay, so mentoring happens every week at 5 p.m. on a Friday. I mean, that also doesn't work. Let people decide when is best for them to meet up, because some mentees might want to meet every month, like 2 hours every month. Others will say, oh, can we meet 1 hour every week? I mean, it depends a bit. It's really up to the mentor and the mentee to decide, okay, what's the best rhythm for them, what works for them, rather than imposing something very strict on the rhythm. And then as well, for reporting, I was saying, don't ask too much, but I mean, you can ask your mentors to not to clock in, but to mention, okay, we had how many sessions, how many hours of mentoring, because that's important for your stats, for sure. You need to know if mentoring is happening. You might want to send sometimes a little mini surveys, is everything okay? What's happening? But really light touch to understand if the mentoring is happening. Have you been in touch with your mentor, mentee, etc. So you can check, oh, they haven't been in touch, for example. So maybe I need to intervene to check if there's a problem. What's the issue here? So there's a little like that check-ins that you can do. Or you can be more or less heavy. I mean, in some programs, we invest a lot at the beginning to really make sure things go well. So for example, we call mentors and mentees, but of course, this is not for programs where you have 100 people. It's for a program where you have a small group. You can call your mentors and mentees, have a small check-in call, okay, how it's going, etc. So you can have a sense if people are on track, and then you can, the ones who you're not too sure, then you will spend a bit more time monitoring those pairs, for example. But yeah, so that's a way of monitoring. Then monitoring, you can also organize peer sessions, but bring mentors together, for example, to collect their feedback on the program so far. Ask for feedback for the mentees as well. You will have a sense if it's already giving some impact or not. But it's true that the impact of mentoring is going to be difficult in raw data. It's going to be the stories of change that you will have to collect. So yeah. So it will definitely be around those stories at the end of the program that you will have. And also think that mentoring is giving a result on a long-term basis. You can't expect mentoring to give impact within 1 month. It will have to be 6 months, 1 year. It's long-term. So, by the time you build the relationship, you start to implement, you talk about issues, you test things, you change, etc. It will take a bit of time. So you have to have patience in mentoring, monitoring and evaluation. Alors, question. What organization would you recommend to gain a professional certification in mentoring? I've met several people who claim to be mentors, but end up doing more damage. So it's true, Emmanuel. It's true because, as I said, there's no anyone can be a mentor, and yes, you are playing with people's lives, so you can damage people. So I guess it's enrolling in programs where there's a kind of level of quality, selection. How do you select people? That's really important. Personally, I do interviews. I always interview participants because at the end of the day, they're going to be in touch with mentees and, really have an impact in their lives. So careful, selection process. Training, offer a good training to your mentors. That's quite important. And then, yes, you have certification. So the same organization who have like coaching trainings would offer certification. So, for example, you have the EMCC, so the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, and this organization accredits the curriculum of organizations. For example, the Human Edge, our curriculum when we train mentors is accredited by the EMCC. So yeah. But then there's not a lot of mentoring accreditation organization, honestly. It's more coaching. So yeah.
Thanks, Julie. So I don't see any more questions. I was wondering, maybe this is a good segue for us to get into, the training that's coming up, and maybe you can speak a little bit about the book that's come out recently before we wind up.
Can you see my screen or?
Not yet.
Do you see my screen? No, I think I made a mistake then.
Do you want me to share the link in the chat?
No. Yeah, please.
Okay.
It's weird, I can't see my...
Folks, I would request you to stay on for just a little bit. We have one more activity while Julie's sharing her screen. We're just going to talk about an upcoming training.
Yes, so basically what I just mentioned today is an introduction to a course that is called Running Effective Mentoring Program. So we see what I introduced in much more detail. So all, the circle I showed you with the different steps. So we go deeper into that. So how to match, how to do that, how to troubleshoot, etc. So we go deep in that. So it's really 5 live facilitated sessions in November, December. And then we follow up with some peer sessions where we check in on you, and you also have an individual coaching session. And we have also some, drop-in sessions where you can come and just tell us about your, specific issues so we can discuss. So I've put the dates here. So I hope some of you will be interested. So it's starting soon in November. And so, of course, if you have any questions, you can contact us. It says, courses. I've put the link to the website with the curriculum, what you will get from the sessions, etc. So I don't want to take too much of your time now, but really have a look at the website. And also, incubators, accelerators is the last chance to get really a discount on the course, because this course is subsidized by a donor who really wants to build, good entrepreneurship ecosystems and build the mentoring capacity of ecosystems. So we have a special discount. So it's going to be the last cohort with this discount. So last chance to get, because I'm sorry to say, but the market price of the training is like £1,000. So if you want to get the 200, it's now or never. So yes, so really that's our next program. And I'm facilitating that program, so I would be really happy to see you there. Next thing that we just launched a book. So a book that is a good start. If you want to train your entrepreneurs, great start to give them a book on what, to really understand what's mentoring, have a few techniques, etc. Some people ask about tools to open up or emotional intelligence. So you have a few things in there in the book, for example. So we have the book, but we also have an online mentor training. So it's like self-paced mentor training that is launching on the 1st of November. So again, very soon we have this coming up. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to sign up to the course. So and if you want to to enroll, a few of your mentors in the training, don't hesitate to let us know. We can enroll in bulk as well in the program, but we can also customize it for you if you would prefer a customized approach, for example. So different options are possible out there. And yeah, so if you're interested, don't hesitate to follow us on social media. Have a look on our website. We have publications with white papers, articles on mentoring. For example, we have a question toolkit. So that's, for example, a good thing to give your mentors. If sometimes they're a bit stuck and don't know really what kind of question ask mentees, we have that on the website, for example. So yeah, don't hesitate to have a look on our resources. And of course, we're just here. Email us if you have any questions. I would be happy to continue the discussion.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. All right. So what I was thinking, and I hope our participants indulge, is at the beginning of this session, we had a check-in where we kind of, talked about the emotions behind, when we are running a mentoring program, what we are feeling. And I was thinking that we can end with saying, how did this session kind of help you in those emotions? And maybe if everybody can turn on their cameras, we can capture that as a photograph, of how this session, did it alleviate, the stress, what's your emotion like now, having gone through this session? Has it helped at all? So we need to do something fun, right? It's such a important topic, and it's such a relevant topic, but at the same time, we also need to connect with people that are here. We need to look at faces. So I encourage you to please turn on your cameras and think of what is that emotion that you think about, that comes to mind when you think about mentoring now that you're equipped with all the nuggets of advice, not advice, nuggets of information that Julie shared with us. Thank you for turning on your camera, Faustina, Sumit. All right. So while I understand, I'll give you 15 seconds to become camera ready, and meanwhile, let me give you what's coming up. I know we are coming up to the end of this session, but we're our programming is just getting started. As I said, we are constantly adding programming to our calendar. We have a session coming up next week, which is a demo from our tool library, where we are showcasing a technology platform that will help ESOs to, scale their impact and deliver scale at impact. That's coming up next week. We have in November, we have a introduction to proposal writing as our skill building workshop. We have donor Ask Me Anything sessions. We have a session on, what are the career options in impact incubation to attract talent, since talent was one of our big challenges. So there's, we are constantly adding programming to our calendar. If you visit our website, which I'm going to share the link to, and subscribe to our calendar, subscribe to our newsletter, follow us on LinkedIn, make some noise, tag us, tag Julie, tag The Human Edge, and you get all the updates on our upcoming events. And yeah, keep the conversation going. If there's something else that comes up, let us know. I'm sure Julie is more than happy to answer your questions. All right. I was hoping for a few more faces. Can we get some? Jules, Saravu, Duncan, Doreen. I won't force you, but all right. Thank you. All right. So let's do this. So thank you. All right. Let's do this. So I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to have my screenshot fingers ready. And we're going to ask the same question again, right? What's the emotion that you feel when you think about mentoring programs, managing your mentoring program? And this time, we're going to take into account the last 90 minutes of what pieces of information you've received and how that emotion has changed. All right, so I'm ready with my fingers. I'm going to count back from 3 to 1. 3, 2, 1. Ready? What's that emotion? Thank you. All right, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again. Thank you, Julie. I really appreciate you taking the time, taking us through such a relevant topic, and with all your pieces, insights. And thank you everyone for joining. I hope to see you all again in all our future sessions. Please follow us again on LinkedIn and go to our website and look at what events are coming up. Thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of the day wherever you are, and yeah, hope to see you all again. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye now.
Bye.